Hello, and today we're doing championship predictions for match day number 33. That's right, the season is getting very interesting indeed. The matches are getting tighter, the goals are flowing in, and what a strike from Duane Holmes the other day against Swansea. It was incredible. But we are going to review how we got on in match week 32's predictions, and we're going to predict the next game week. But before we do, what is the colour of the week going to be? It's going to be bright, or actually, no, sorry, medium bright / dark pink. And the theme of the week is going to be dun 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 dun. It's Pirates of the Caribbean. Arr! And the song of the week, the song of the week is going to be by, who is it? It is Ed Sheeran, and it is called Oh, Cross Me. If you cross her, then you cross me. Nobody coming closer, and I think that you should know that if you cross her, I ain't never gonna be. Yeah. If you cross me, I ain't never gonna be. Nobody's coming closer. And that is the song of the weekend. So, let's first of all talk about our fantasy football team. What a team it is, can I just say. Absolutely world class. So we've done a great job there. But no, what we are going to first of all predict and kick off with is our championship predictions. And then we will get into our fantasy team and see how that gets on. But first of all, we've got to review last week. And let me just get the predictions book for last week and see how we did, people. Now, I am not actually sure where it's got to, so not going to lie, I might just have to look up the results and remember what I did. So let's have a little look for that. And whilst I'm doing this, make sure you smash a like on it, share with your friends. Let's spread the word about these championship predictions and get yours down in the comments. I'll give you a shout out if you can get some correct scores in there and get some big points. But basically it's 3 points for the correct result, 5 for the correct result and the goal difference, e.g. you said a 1-0 and it was 2-1. And then 8 points for the correct scoreline. So for the first game of match week 32, we predicted Brentford to, of course, win their game against Sheffield Wednesday, and they did. 3-0. I went with a 3-1, so unlucky there, but 3 points, we'll take it. Then we said Birmingham 1, Norwich 3. It was, in fact, that score. You love to see it. And 2 goals for Timu Puki the week that I brought him in fantasy football. And I captained him. Unbelievable stuff. That is lovely. Did I captain him? I think I did, you know. I'm pretty sure I did. Brilliant. Thanks for that. Anyway, going back to the results. Obviously, Skip got his goal as well, which was good to see for the young lad. You know, he's gone to a new club and you want to do well when you go in there. But it was a pretty amazing week when your captain in fantasy football scores 30 points. But now we're going to move on with fantasy and get to that in a little bit. But ultimately, very good for my predictions. We then said a 1-0 win away from home for Huddersfield. And it was a Derby win, so not exactly ideal. Huddersfield getting a man sent off. And that man was, of course, Jayden Brown. So, Derby, massively important win for Wayne Rooney and for the team. They didn't have much of the ball at all, but they made their chances count. And that's ultimately what is so key at this level. And then we had a game that was between Luton Town and Millwall. We went with the 2-1 victory for Millwall. It was actually a draw. So once again, no points for us. And we're just currently on a total of 11 points after the Norwich and Brentford results. It was so nearly a Luton win, but they got it snatched away from them with a goal from George Evans in the 95th minute. Unbelievable. That is what you call last limb stuff. Middlesbrough beating Bristol City. That was what I wanted to predict, and it didn't happen. It was a 3-1 victory for Bristol City, but the week I bring in, or was it the week or maybe the week before, but I bring in Dale Fry in my team, and he goes and scores. What a legend. No, but anyway, it was a massive win for Bristol City. Nigel Pearson, the impact manager, I mean, he's a legend, really. It's simple as that. And they do face a tough test against Swansea this week, but they'll make that win and take that into the game, try and give them a bit of momentum. So once again, no points in the predictions. We said 2-2 between Rotherham and Forest. It was 1-0 to Forest, with the only moment of magic coming from the player Ryan Yates. So then, once again, no points. Wycombe against Reading. Surely we're going to have some more luck in this game. No, it's a massive result for Watford in the table because Wycombe got the victory. Fred Onyedinma was the only man to score, and that's despite Wycombe winning, despite that red card for Ryan Tafazoli. So massive for Watford, but not good for my predictions. So basically, it was a bit of a stinker this week. Apart from our correct score in the Norwich game, our correct result in the game for Brentford against Sheffield Wednesday, and also Barnsley against Stoke, you're thinking, come on, it was a 2-1 that I predicted to Stoke, and it was 2-0 to Barnsley. So, yeah, not exactly ideal at all. But then, along comes another correct score. Swansea against Coventry. You love to see it. 1-0. I got that bang on the money, and the goal from Ben Cabango. Lovely stuff. We said 3-1 to Watford. It was 3-2. So at least there's some correct, result points there. We said 3-1 to Bournemouth, and once again, the results just seem to be going Watford's way because Cardiff with a shock win, and of course the week I transfer out Sean Morrison, he goes and scores, classic. But we still scored 97 points last week, so I don't mind about it. But ultimately, Shane Long back in the goals again. He's on a nice little run now, but it wasn't enough, Cardiff. They had the 2 goals early on in the second half, and that was enough to see over the win. So once again, nightmare for our predictions. And then we said a 2-0 to QPR against Preston, and it was a 0-0. So all in all, a terrible week. But the odd correct scoreline in there for the Swansea and Norwich City games. So we actually do end the week on a really disappointing score. Most weeks I've had at least something to brag about. And yeah, it's 2 correct scores, but other than that, what was going on? It was just a lot of shocks this week, and fair play to some of the away sides because there was more away goals, but then more home wins. So yeah, crazy week really. But we got 16 from that game for the Norwich game and the Swansea one, and then we got 3 for the Watford one. So that's of course 19. And then 3 for the Brentford one, so that's 22. So worst weeks have been there, but still not ideal. We need to move on to week 33 and hopefully do a lot better. So the first game to predict is going to be... we did say the song of the week, didn't we? I think we did, yeah. Or did we? Maybe we didn't. I've forgotten, to be honest. My memory is not very good. I'm just trying to think. Did we actually say it? I don't really know. Alright, well, if we didn't, then I'll just make up my own one at the end. But we're going to press on with predictions. Derby versus Nottingham Forest. Well, that's interesting. It's a bit of a derby, this one. Pardon the pun. But Derby do come into this off decent form, Under Wayne Rooney, they've picked up their form. And they only lost in the last 4 against, of course, Watford. But generally it's been improved, certainly at Derby County when they've played their games at home. And once again, they did it against Huddersfield. And once again, they have a home one here against Forest. Nottingham Forest have, just started to get some good results against teams you'd expect, but also against teams you wouldn't, like a clean sheet against Bournemouth, win over Blackburn. But yeah, it seems that Houghton has got them playing some good football. They were unfortunate against Swansea to lose 1-0, but they did the same score to Rotherham. So, yeah, ultimately, they're a good team in good form, are Nottingham Forest, and it's still not an ideal position in 18th that Derby sit their opponents, but 16th for Nottingham Forest. I'm going to say a Forest win. Derby consistent, but Forest all round, I think, looking more comfortable. So we'll say Derby County 1, Nottingham Forest 2. And goal scorers in this one, we shall say it will be goals from... tough one, but we're going to say the first goal is from Colin Kazim Richards. And then Forest get the goals on the Friday night football to get a very important win for their hopes of, better things, basically, in what's been a pretty poor season for Forest. And those goals will come from the man that is Scott McKenna. And then it will be a goal from new signing from Watford, James Garner. All right, now we've got a game that's going to be between, in game week 33, Bournemouth and Watford. Now, this wasn't so long ago, a game week fixture in the Premier League. And, it's funny how things work out. We seem to always get promoted with each other, get relegated with each other. We have been, over the recent years, bit of rivals because, they stole the titles off us in the game week 38 of, 46, I should say, of the 14-15 season when we were playing Sheffield Wednesday. I'll never forget Nihu, or Nihao, wherever you pronounce it, for his last-minute equaliser, and then Bournemouth won the title. But the point is, this is a really big game week because, whoever wins this is really in the driving seat in terms of Bournemouth, in the driving seat for the playoffs, and in terms of us, depending on what Brentford do, maybe just in the driving seat for automatic. I mean, it's going to be tough. Most likely we'll be through the playoffs, but hopefully we can win and get promotion anyway. The scary thing is, of course, that Swansea still do have 2 games in hand over us, and they're only 1 point behind. So we need to keep on winning. But 4 wins on the spin is the best form that anyone has had in that top 6. Actually, no, I say that. Cardiff have been even better. But ultimately, the point is we're looking a confident team, and this is a game that is going to be tough. When you looked at the Blackburn game, we thought, if we can't get a win out of that, maybe a win out of Bournemouth. But ultimately, you want to win every game. And I'd say ultimately that Blackburn have actually been on worse form than Bournemouth. But Bournemouth have stuttered and they have struggled without, their manager that they had. That was, of course, Jason Tyndall. They had a little stutter and then they decided to part ways. And they had Jonathan Woodcake step in and they've just not been winning as many games. 2 defeats in a row now. We need to capitalise on that, and I think we should get the win, hopefully. But it could easily be a game we lose, and we just have to pick ourselves up and dust ourselves down, because ultimately, these big clubs like Bournemouth, we're going to be fighting for promotion with, and fighting possibly with the playoffs. But the game after this, Wycombe, is simply a must-win on Wednesday night. So, yeah, it's a massive game at the Vitality. I'm going to go for a Watford win, of course, I always do. I say always do, most of the time. But the run we're on, we're just so confident right now. And I think that's going to continue. So I'm going to edge towards a thrilling Watford win. Both defences aren't that solid, I suppose. I mean, we have only conceded 20 goals. Bournemouth only 14. But, sorry. I don't know what I'm on about. No, we've conceded 23, which is actually pretty low. Whereas Bournemouth have conceded 46. No, 32. Oh my days. I keep reading the wrong column. But the point is, it's going to be a rip-roaring game. Most of these games are usually draws. But I'm not going to go for that. I'm going to go for Watford win. Bournemouth 1, Watford 2. I said I was going to be a rip-roaring game. It's not that rip-roaring. But anyway, the reverse fixture with goals 1-1 from... it was just the most ridiculous goal. I remember it, Chris Metham, because he was offside in the build-up. And I think it was maybe someone else that passed it to him that was offside. Lloyd Kelly, I think. But the point is, he should have been off before that, or maybe, he should have been sent off. But anyway, we got a goal through Stipe Perica, I do believe, and maybe he needs to get more of a chance. But ultimately, what we're doing right now is working. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, lads. Bournemouth 1, Watford 2. Goals from, first of all, Joao Pedro, and then I think that Bournemouth will equalise through Adam Smith, but Watford make it 2 again with the in-form Sweden international Ken Sema. What a legend, even if you did score 10 points on my fantasy bench. Anyway, now we go to the game that's between Blackburn and Coventry, and I'm going to favour a Coventry upset. Blackburn have just been in really poor form, 5 defeats in a row, And I just think Coventry are a team unlucky slightly against Swansea. They only had one shot on target, but Swansea only had two. And, they'll look back on that game thinking they could have had a few chances. Ultimately, though, they didn't get the result, and they do still sit in the position of 20th. That is currently 3 points ahead of Birmingham and 5 points ahead of Rotherham, who obviously pick up the other, relegation spot. But ultimately, a trip to Blackburn is never easy. Ewood Park's a tough place to go, and all that. But Coventry, they're a team that's punched above their weight at times, and I think they're going to do that again. Blackburn Rovers 1, Coventry 3. And goal scorers in this one, I shall say the first is through Harvey Elliott. He looked very, very threatening on Wednesday night. And then Coventry goals come through Gustavo Harmer. And then it will be a goal for the Sky Blues from, let's say, the man that scored against Brentford. It's Tyler Walker. And then the third goal for Coventry, I predict, will come from Dominic Hyam. So it's 3-1, a massive result for Coventry City. All right, now it's a game that is going to be between the likes of Rotherham and Reading. And I'm going to say Rotherham 1, Reading 3. Surely they're going to respond for the recent disappointing performances. They've just not been getting the wins against Wycombe and against, I think it was Middlesbrough as well. So they're struggling at the minute for confidence, but it's still a good team. You got to back them this week against a slightly sloppy Rotherham team. Rotherham 1, Reading 2. And goal scorers in this one, I think, will be for Rotherham. Let's say it is the forward Matt Smith. Used to be a former doctor, of course. Basically, yeah. So that's going to be the goal to kick off the game. But then I think that it will be Michael Smith, I should say, not Matt Smith. I'm getting carried away. But the goals for Blackburn. Sorry, I'm getting all over the place. No, the goals for, instead, it's going to be Rotherham that concede, Reading score. Those goals to make it 2-1 are going to be through, first of all, let's say, the midfielder that is Michael Elise. And then we shall say a goal for Rovers from the man that scored in the defeat to Millwall. It's Alpha Semedo. All right, now we've got a game that is between, first of all, it is going to be Preston, and they're up against Huddersfield. And I'm going to favour a Preston result here. I just think that at home they will tend to get the results. And Huddersfield have, at times this season, been quite hard to predict, but they're still a decent side. So I'll say Preston 2, Huddersfield 0. And the goals for Preston will come from both of them, Scott Sinclair. Now we've got a game that is between Barnsley and Millwall. And I'm going to say Barnsley 1, Millwall 0. Barnsley with a massive, what they call smash and grab. I think that's going to happen here. And I think the goal for Barnsley is going to come from the informed player that is Carlton Morris. All right, the next game to predict this game week is going to be between Swansea and Bristol City. We're going to go for a 3-1 victory to Swansea. And goals in this game, I reckon, will come from, let's say, let's say the midfielder that goes by the name of, it is Grimes, that is Matt Grimes, and then goals the rest of the game for Swansea in that 3-1 victory, we'll say, let's say, Ryan Bennett, and then the third for Swansea will be scored by Jamal Lowe, and then the consolation scored for Bristol City, I reckon will be from, it's going to be the forward that goes by the name of Naki Wells. And then it's Luton versus Sheffield Wednesday. I'm going to edge towards the Luton win. I think Sheffield Wednesday have been pretty poor this season. Luton Town to win this one by 1-0. And the only goal will be scored for Luton, the Hatters, by the forward, James Collins. Then it's a game that's going to be between Brentford and Stoke City. And I've got a feeling Brentford will run riot here. They have been really poor, but Stoke ultimately aren't that great either. They do struggle at times, Stoke, but at times they also look a really good team. Against Luton, they ran riot. Against Sheffield Wednesday, they just about edged it through. And against Norwich, they got battered. And I think that could be a repeat of that Norwich game. Brentford 4, Stoke City 1. And goal scorers, I think that there'll be 2 from Brian Mbeumo. And then the third goal for Brentford will be through the recovered from injury, Ivan Toney. And then Stoke get back a consolation, or maybe, some ray of hope. But it's scored through defender that is, of course, who is it? It's Nathan Collins. And then the final goal for Brentford to seal off a very good night's work will be scored by the man that is Winston Reid. And he is playing in defence for the Bees. Okay, now we've got a game that is going to be between... It is Birmingham against QPR. And I fancy a very nervy game here. And I think neither side will find the moment of magic. Birmingham 0, QPR 0. Then it's Middlesbrough versus Cardiff City. Another tough one to call, it's got to be said. But ultimately, I think this is a game that Cardiff should be getting at least a point out of. At times, you could say the Riverside is difficult. And Cardiff have had a pretty poor season, but it was a massive result against Bournemouth. So I'll say Middlesbrough 0, Cardiff City 0. And I think it'll be a man-of-the-match performance for Dale Fry. But yeah, no goals there. I'm going to say 0-0 once again. But then we are going to say between Wycombe and Norwich City that it is going to end a very impressive Wycombe Wanderers 1, Norwich City 5. And there will be 2 goals from Teemu Pukki, 1 from Max Aarons, another from Emi Buendia. And then we have goals coming from the midfielder that is Oliver Skipp to make it 4. And then we've got a goal... 5, I think. So 2 from Pukki, 1 from Aarons, then 4 from Buendia. So yeah, 5 to make it from Skipp. And then the 6th goal will be scored by Todd Cantwell. And then the 7th... Well, there won't be a 7th. I said there would be 5. So let me rewind on that one. It's going to stay 5-1. And it's going to be the goals from Todd Cantwell, 2 from Pukki, 1 from Buendia, and 1 from Max Aarons. Okay, but the goal for Wycombe will be coming from forward. That is Uche Ikpeazu. All right, that wraps up my predictions for the match day number 33 of the Championship. Let's quickly look along our fantasy team. So we've got Freddie Woodman in goal. What a legend. We've got Dale Fry, Matt Smith. I keep saying Matt Smith. Adam Smith, Max Aarons, Elise as emergency captain, Brian Mbeumo as captain, Elliot, then Sema, vice-captain Pukki, Pedro, and Ivan Toney. And on the bench, Backman, Nick Powell, Pippa, and the new signing that for my team is Viner. It was just to help the squad, basically. Zach Viner comes in for Richard Wood, who's just not been doing many points recently. But what a week it was. 97 despite the -8. And that saw us up to an amazing rank of 753 overall. 95 game week rank, which is brilliant. Just lovely stuff. 6 for Woodman. We played him the right week. 8 for Fry on debut, I think, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, it was. Brilliant transfer from me. And also brilliant transfer to get in Pukki and captain him. 30-pointer. 14 from Pedro. 21 from Mbeumo. So imagine if I'd have captained my vice-captain. And of course 7 from Elliot. Unfortunate the 10-pointer from Sema on the bench, but it's a new week, and that is my team locked in. Thanks for watching this one. I shall see you next time. Bye-bye.